Welcome in, Possums, to the Offensive Points podcast. My name is Billy Mansell. I am solo tonight. No other voices, no other dissenting voices, no other voices that can have any displeasure will be on the podcast tonight. It'll just be me and you talking just, one-on-one here. Me in the chat on YouTube and on Facebook. So welcome in. Drop any questions into the chat. I will try to read them in podcast audience. Just bear with me as I'm going to be trying to break down each and every game on the slate, getting you ready for week 5. All right. Well, before we get into anything, I think we should talk about the two, pretty big news stories that are going on right now. We'll talk about Davante Adams first. It looks like he's going to be traded. There's a rumor that Antonio Pierce liked a Instagram picture that was had Davante Adams playing his last snap for the Raiders, which is just crazy to me. Like I think that is a crazy thing if that's true. I don't know if that's true, but if you're a coach in the NFL, you should know that if you like something on Instagram, everybody in the world's going to see it at some point. So liking something like that is just really, really slick. So I think that's very interesting. What's up, Rougaroo on YouTube said, what's up, Solo Bill? I know, I'm here, Solo Roo. I don't know where they are. They have not messaged me in multiple hours, so who knows where these guys are in the world. Who dat? He's going to love the food. Yeah, you mentioned that. We're talking about Davante Adams, and Davante has like 3 places I think that we can probably nail it down to. One is the Jets, obviously, the bromance with Aaron Rodgers. The thing is, I don't really know if the Jets could need him, really. Like, I mean, I get it from the, like, he's friends with Aaron Rodgers standpoint, but I don't really know how he would fit into their offense when they can't already get their number one guy going in this offense already. Garrett Wilson's already made some comments that, like, I don't know, maybe this isn't exactly the offense isn't exactly working as well as it normally does. And I don't know, maybe there is something to that. But as far as Davante Adams goes, Jets, that's probably 1. 2, the Saints. He still wants to play with Derek Carr, and I can respect that. That's why you went to the Raiders in the first place. When they got rid of Derek Carr, that was kind of like him wanting to go away from them anyway. So to be fair, I think that would be a perfect place for him to go as well. Rue, I think with him, Olave, and Shaheed, like that 3-person, and then with the rest of the players they have on the team, that would be a pretty potent offense. And he would be happy again. Last kind of stealth team that I've been hearing and that people have been kind of throwing out there is the Commanders, Washington. I don't hate it. I mean, Terry McLaurin has really proven that he would probably benefit from being a solid 2 rather than a definite 1, whereas Adams could come in and kind of be just another check down option for Jayden Daniels. I think that just the more options, the better for him in this offense. So throwing Davante Adams out there to them, they've got plenty of trade capital. So that wouldn't be any problem with him. And yeah, so I think the Commanders could also be a decent option for them to grab. So yeah, Davante Adams is apparently on the move. And I mean, one of those 3 teams is probably it. There's a lot of mystery people out there. I know the Chiefs have been mentioned. I just don't really see how that would work. He kind of fills the exact spot that Travis Kelce's in, to be honest. He's kind of the slow over the middle guy. And I mean, I guess you can't have too many of those, especially when you lose Rashee Rice, but just is what it is. I don't know. It just is what it is. So, yeah, that's the Davante Adams thing. It's kind of crazy, kind of wild. I don't know. Don't know if we expected it or not, but it just is what it is. Yeah. So Davante Adams gone. And then the Chiefs, what are we going to do here? They don't have any wide receivers. We'll get into this when we get into the game previews, but I don't really know what's going to go on here with the Chiefs. I've heard a lot of names thrown out as far as who they could trade for. Not a lot of them make sense. Like I've heard Tyreek thrown out there. They're not going to trade for Tyreek Hill. I'm sorry. That's not going to happen. They would be having to give up too much. But what do they do? I don't know. I think they're going to have to trade for some wide receiver out there. I don't exactly know who that's going to be. I think they should pick off one of these lesser guys on a roster like Treylon Burks for Tennessee. I think that would be a perfect snag for them. Somebody who's not really, a top bill guy, or maybe like Denver go after like Cortland Sutton. I think he would be a little cheaper than the Denver would like to admit. That is an interdivision trade, so I don't know. Ruru mentions why not call Houston for Mechie? Yeah, that's the exact kind of guy that I would be after if I was them. Somebody that's not like a huge needle mover. That's somebody you're going to get on a team and everybody's going to be like, okay, I guess that's the new number one there. But like somebody that's going to at least be able to help a little bit more. I do think they need to bring in a name. I don't know who it's going to be because Juju and Travis Kelce are not going to be able to get this team down the finish line. So yeah, it just is what it is at that point. So yeah, we'll see what the Chiefs do. I don't love it a lot. Gardaki's Playground on YouTube says Tank Dell. I don't think CJ Stroud will let Dell go. I don't think so. I think that they're going to keep those three together, the Diggs, Stroud, Dell combo together as long as they possibly can. But it is what it is. All right. Well, let's flip the page. We'll get on to these game previews. We got some buys this week, so less games than normal, but there's still a few in here that I think that are going to make for some good games. We got an England game this week for everyone out there that's, wanting to wake up early and watch some football. That's pretty exciting. But let's get to the Thursday night game. We have the Buccaneers versus the Atlanta Falcons. I think it's pretty easy to say what we got going here. Baker, yes. Mike Evans, yes. Chris Godwin, yes. And Bucky Irving, yes. I think Bucky Irving is good to go. I like what they've been doing to get him more involved in this offense as time's been going on, and I have liked kind of the split that he's been getting with Rachaad White. Now, that's not to say Rachaad White's completely useless. I think he's still good in a flex spot, but this is a true 50-50 backfield now, and Bucky's earned it. So I kind of like it a lot for them. And yeah, so that's it for the Buccaneers. I don't believe in K-Dot and yes yet. And then the rest of these guys like Trey Palmer and them, I mean, not yet. It would take an injury probably to get them involved. Going back to the wide receiver, I've been hearing Kirk to KC. See, the only problem with that, Rue, the only thing I don't know about is that the coach and GM for Jacksonville is probably losing their job at the end of the season. So are either of them going to want to make a random move that's going to only benefit the future? Whereas, like, if they hold on to him and try to keep winning, maybe they can make a case to get a job elsewhere. So I don't really know what good they would have trading Kirk, unless there's a great deal that comes down the line. But they're only going to be benefiting the next Jacksonville regime at this point. And since they're not going to get rid of Bulky in the middle of the season, not really time to get anybody in there to make this trade before the trade deadline. So I don't know. I like the idea of Christian Kirk and KC maybe next year. But this season, it just seems a little unlikely to me. All right, on to the Atlanta Falcons. Look, this team is a mess. I just like with Kirk Cousins in there right now. Clearly, he doesn't want to move. I mean, we can be honest. We've watched enough at this point. He doesn't want to get hit. He can't move very well. The balls aren't coming out as crisp as they have in the past. This is probably not going to look right for at least this entire season, I don't think. I mean, it was nice to see Drake London get a little involved this past week, but 6 for 69, that's not going to cut it. I mean, that's 12 points in PPR, half PPR, that's like 9 points. Like, that's not why you drafted Drake London to do. And I hate to give Josh credit on this podcast because he kind of said that, but I didn't think Kirk Cousins was going to be this bad. And for that reason, I just don't know how you can. I mean, you're going to play Drake London, but I don't know how you can feel confident about it. You're going to be nervous. Kyle Pitts, it's a sit forever now. I'm completely out on Kyle Pitts. It's not going to work in Atlanta. That's just the short and skinny of it. They don't know how to use him. And if they're not going to scheme plays for him too, then I definitely don't think it's going to work. And you're going to be lucky the weeks that he ends up with a touchdown, but for the most part, you're not going to have that touchdown. So unfortunately, sitting Kyle Pitts. So for this team, I mean, it's Bijan, who last week I said quietly, is Bijan even good? I'm still it's a quiet thought. It's not an out loud thought. It's not for everyone in this chat to tell their friends that I said this. I'm just saying it's a quiet thought. Is Bijan elite? I don't know. I mean, he did have a long touchdown call back last week, and that would have changed the trajectory of his last week. But I just don't know how you can see like Derrick Henry do what he did in that Sunday night game, and then you go and watch Bijan, who's a decade younger, and be like, yep, these guys are on the same exact level in terms of talent. I don't know. I just want to see more from it, I guess, because we thought Bijan was going to be a transcendent talent. I haven't seen it yet, but still, you're going to start him in this game. I think Algiers kind of got some flex appeal in this game for sure as well. So that's probably the only three I'm starting: Bijan, London, and Algier in a flex capacity only. I know Ray McLeod was a really popular pickup. Actually, Mooney's probably good to go too. Tampa's secondary is a little suspect, so all of those guys are pretty good to go. Ray McLeod, though, I would be a little suspect. I know that he got a high projection this week. Shout out to Mike Clay, but I don't know if I would be starting him in my lineup, and I'm going to be sitting there with that 4 in my my score the whole weekend until we get to Sunday, thinking like, why the fuck did I play Ray McLeod? But it is bye weeks, and bye weeks are crazy, so I get it. Bye weeks and injuries, both of them crazy. So my heart's out to you if that's the option that you're going to have to roll with this week. I think Tampa wins this game. I really like how Baker Mayfield's playing. I know I have the jersey right there. I know I'm usually in the bag for him, but I mean, I'm just saying, I think he's got this on. All right. Sunday morning, we have the Jets Vikings. Yes, set those lineups on Saturday night, folks. Believe me, you do not want to be the guy that woke up and accidentally played a player that is not playing in the game. I don't know who that would be in the Vikings-Jets game exactly, but you don't want to be the guy that has that in this game. All right. Before we even get started on this game, TJ Hawkinson, they opened his practice window, so there may be some tight end heroism on the horizon. That would be great to see. We would love to have another tight end back in the mix after the hellhole that tight end has been this year. So, yes, let's keep our prayers up for that coming back. All right, on to the Jets. Look, this actually provides a really good matchup for their wide receivers. So I'm going to go Lazard and Garrett Wilson, good to go. Mike Williams, I don't love Mike Williams because it seems like he should be making more big plays than he is every week, and it just doesn't ever translate. So whatever. Tyler Conklin in a pinch because of how bad tight end has been this year, go for it. Don't hate that at all. Breece and Braylon Allen are both good to go. I'm going to say this on this podcast. This is kind of why I'm glad I'm doing this solo today. And I know you all are going to get sick of my voice by the next hour that goes by. But I am kind of happy that I can say this without anyone pushing back on me because I love firing off these hot takes. Braylon Allen might be the 50-50 with Breece Hall by the end of this year. Not that I hate Breece Hall or anything. I just really love how Braylon Allen's playing right now. He has come in with a fire that Breece Hall just doesn't have. And I don't know. I just really like him a lot. And I think by the end of the season, we're going to be saying that this is a 50-50 work share. And the people that paid for Breece Hall are going to be pissed. You're probably already pissed that you paid for Breece Hall just based on some of the performances we've gotten this season and what we've expected from him. But at the same time, I feel like we've got a 50-50 split coming. So, yeah. Braylon Allen, good to go. Breece Hall, good to go. Garrett Wilson, Conklin, good to go. We also got, Joe makes an appearance. There he is. And then he's on the road. And I don't know if he's muted or not. We're in the middle of the Jets, Joe. Letting everybody know who to play the Jets. I'm glad I fired off my hot take while you were away and not on the podcast yet. So welcome in. He's having some sound difficulties. That's all right. No problem. We're on to the Vikings. We have what has all of a sudden become one of the craziest good Vikings teams in a while. I don't know where this is coming from, but I can respect it. They're doing it with Sam Darnold. That's not a mistake. If you can make Sam Darnold and this defense into something that is the number one for this, more power to you. That's crazy to me. But the starts for this game, I feel like are pretty obvious at this point. Justin Jefferson, obviously, yes. Jordan Addison, welcome back to the league, kid. I'm glad he's back. Jalen Naylor has been a sensation this season, surprisingly, out of nowhere. And then Sam Darnold, even though the Jets provide the number one defense against quarterbacks in the league, I'm still good to go with him. Let's throw him in there. Sam Darnold, still good in my book. And Aaron Jones is also good to go in my book. Joe, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can. Joe,
awesome.
I got you were on the road this week. So that's why I was like, I don't know what's going on. But welcome.
Yeah, I just got done with my meetings with my clients, and I am jumping in. So
nice. Well, we're across the pond in England right now talking about the Jets Vikings game. I'll just fill you in a little bit on what I said before you popped on. Sorry, audience. You're just going to have to roll with it. So I think Braylon Allen and Breece Hall are in a 50-50 times share by the end of the season, and that's just how it's going to be. Do you agree with that?
I can see your theory on that one. I still think Breece is getting at least 60% of the work, but Braylon Allen's like damn good, and he's getting positive yardage all the time, which we are not seeing from Breece currently. So I can see it.
Yeah. That was my reasoning. Is just like I feel like if anything, it's just every time Braylon's on the field, I just feel like, okay, this is definitely going to be a positive run. And when Breece is on the field, it's either like a great run or it's stopped for 2 yards. And like there's no in the middle. But every time Braylon has the ball, I'm like, I think this is going to be a positive 8-yard play at least. I don't know. That's just how I've been seeing it so far.
Yeah, I can see it. And Braylon Allen is just a huge man, and we should have seen this. I mean, we saw it at Wisconsin, and then we were like, he's not going to do it. And then he did it. I mean, it's hard to stop a battering ram. Ask my college house door. It's very difficult.
Fair enough. Gardaki's Playground on YouTube says Allen looks better if you didn't know the pedigree. That's exactly right. Like if you didn't know where you drafted each player and you were just watching them for the first time, so you got beamed down from space, you'd be like, yeah, Braylon Allen's obviously the better player here. Like, what are we talking about? But you can't say that out loud because we are too invested in Breece as a fantasy community. We can't allow what everybody thought was our RB1. I had people that I had made massive offers this offseason for Breece Hall that now I'm so glad that they did not accept, because I don't think that it's never going to match the value that I was trying to trade away for him, Joe. It's just never going to get there now.
You can't put the genie back in the bottle, and you damn sure can't talk. I'm in Iowa right now for work, which surprisingly this hotel Wi-Fi seems to be better than my Wi-Fi at home. This is just the free stuff. I didn't even pay for the upgraded one, but you can't talk bad about Breece Hall in the state of Iowa. So I still think he's got the chance.
Yeah, Cyclone up. Can you talk bad about Brock Purdy either?
I mean,
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Not a King Butler, though.
I still think it's wild that Brock Purdy, David Montgomery, and Breece Hall are all on the same team at the same time in an Iowa school, and that Iowa school wasn't very good at football. So
it's an Iowa thing, dude. I saw a Tory Taylor jersey when I was walking back to my hotel tonight, and the guy said the shirt said punting is offense, and it had Tory Taylor on the back. And I was
Tory Taylor is a god there. I know they used to have shirts there that said live, laugh, punt, and it was like just a Tory Taylor shirt. And that was just the way of life it was in Iowa. That's great. Honestly, he's been all pro for the Bears this year, but we'll get to that. I don't even know when we get to that. It's a punter. Anyway, just to cap this game off, Jets, Vikings, I think the Vikings are going to win, but these games are weird overseas, and I could see the Jets winning. Oh, you disagree?
Thoroughly
You're done with
disagree.
the Vikings. You're done with the
Aaron
Vikings.
Rodgers has spent his entire career just bending over the Vikings, and he's going to see those purple jerseys. Actually, Billy, sports betting is legal in Iowa, and I just put a bet on Rodgers to throw 3+ touchdowns, and I think he has a big game. It was like plus 900. I was like, yeah, dude.
Well, I sure hope so, because last week I thought him going against a rookie, he was going to, make that rookie his son. Not at all. Not at all. Bo Nix looked him dead in the face and said, "Nuh-uh, old man, get the fuck out of here."
Yeah, I'm going to throw for 60 yards, dude. Flex on him.
Yeah, exactly. 60 yards and a dub against Aaron Rodgers. Like, put that one in the record book. Okay, we'll move on to the next game. We've got the Ravens and the Bengals. Joe, I've been talking a lot, so please go ahead and take the Ravens for me.
Oh, man, the Ravens. What do you do with the Ravens? You got the Baltimore Derrick Henrys and not much else. Zay Flowers, I'm terrified to use him in any capacity. He's talented as all get out, but I mean, they're just not. They don't have to throw the ball, which is honestly a great problem for Baltimore to have because that's kind of what Lamar Jackson's done his entire career. So not having to throw the ball is fantastic. I think Derrick Henry and Justice Hill are very usable. I do think at some point this season we're going to see a bounce back from Mark Andrews. There's just too much negativity there, and that locker room, he's got to be chirping just a little bit about getting the ball because his resume does not look good this year. So I'd like him getting it back on the rails, but right now, I mean, it's Lamar, you're starting him. It's Derrick Henry, you're starting him, and Justice Hill honestly is a pretty good flex, even against the Bengals. I know the Bengals defense has played, mildly better the last couple of weeks, but they just gave up to Chuba Hubbard. I mean, they're not really stopping that much.
Yeah, that's true. So I dropped Mark Andrews in a league today.
Wow.
And
what league is that? Am I in it?
You can go grab him. It's in Sheba. Yeah,
I'll go pick him up. I'm having tight end issues anyway.
That's fine. Well, that's going to help. Like having Mark Andrews is going to help.
At least he's on the field. Evan Ingram has fiber optic cable for fucking hamstrings.
Well,
we had to call fire in to fix him up.
The problem with Mark Andrews is we're not even to the injuries yet. Like we're at just the one target a game problems right now. Let's just wait until we get into the now we're also injured too on top of all that. No, I'm done with Mark Andrews. He was a keeper in that league, and I'm not going to draft him again. It's over. It's over for me. They're clearly going to keep switching in and out tight ends. I don't know why we're not using Isaiah Likely as the person he is meant to be in life like he was in week 1. How did we see how well that offense worked and think, man, we should not do that again? I mean, not that they needed it in this last game.
They don't have a reason, man. They just – I mean, if Derrick Henry's running for 200 yards, what are you going to try to do?
No, I mean, that's fair. In this last game, that wouldn't matter. But I'm just talking about the Raiders game, for example. Why not just do what we did against the Chiefs that worked really well? I don't know. But whatever. It is what it is. On to the Bengals. I still don't love this team, Joe. I do like Ja'Marr Chase. I'm fine with him. But as far as the rest of this team goes, Chase Brown and Zach Moss are in a dead heaving split for work last week. And Chase Brown looked a little bit better. I mean, I guess a lot of it was made up on that 120-yard run, but he ended up with the 2 touchdowns on the ground. Zach Moss got one through the air. Ja'Marr Chase is probably the only one I truly trust on this team. T. Higgins had the most targets on the team last week. It's a whole mess what they did against the Panthers. Going into this game, though, I don't feel like I love it other than the stars. So I'm actually going to stick with, I think both the running backs are good to go as flexes. And then Ja'Marr Chase is good to go. T. Higgins, desperation flex. There's bye weeks and injuries, so anybody at this point is probably good to go. But anybody other than that, I would say no. Even Gesicki, I don't think he works with T. Higgins being back. It just doesn't work.
No, I think you're right about that. Are you trusting Chase Brown?
I have to think there's a reason that we went into a game where we needed to win the game and we were using Chase Brown that much. There has to be a reason. I think when shit is hitting the fan, they clearly were like, this is the game plan we're going to need to use and it's going to need to work. I don't know if we should trust him or not. He could go out there and have 5 rushes for 23 yards this week. I don't know.
That's what I'm scared of. But, I mean, Zach Taylor is literally coaching for his job right now. I mean, you can't start like this and feel comfortable. So I think you have to go. I mean, Chase Brown looks absolutely excellent. We know who Zach Moss is. He's good. But then I just think, they're going to give it to Chase Brown. I'm just worried about starting him this week because I don't fully trust that's going to happen. But to your point about the receivers, I actually think Higgins is a good play this week. Last week they sold out to try to stop Ja'Marr Chase and they couldn't even stop him. But Burrow really leaned on T. Higgins there for those short. He's been trying to get him going. I mean, the game before that, he had how many targets in the red zone? One bounced off his visor. One was thrown out of bounds. But they're clearly trying to get T. Higgins going. So I think, coming off the injury, this is his 3rd game back. I think we could see a big game out of T. Higgins.
That's true. And, I mean, going against the Ravens, throw all the records out. We're doing what we can to win this game. These two teams don't like each other. So I actually think the Ravens are going to win, though. I just don't trust the Bengals enough. Their defense still, I don't like it.
Yeah. I haven't put a whole lot of thought to this, man. I've been kind of ping-ponging around the state, but give me the Bengals.
See, I was about to say, I like just taking things off the dome, Joe. I like just throwing it at you, and you're just going to have to figure it out. I like it.
I haven't even looked at the schedule this week. I don't know who's playing who. Barely got my waiver claims in yesterday. So
I've only talked about Bucks Falcons on Thursday, so you're good up until that point. All right, on to the next noon 1 o'clock start on the slot is Ravens versus the Bengals. It's one I just said. Colts versus the Jaguars. Jesus, Joe, you even have me all over the place. All right, I'm going to talk about the Jaguars because we're 0-4, and we need to start thinking some things. Earlier, Joe, before you were here, we were talking about potential trade targets for KC. Rue brought up the possibility of Christian Kirk getting traded to KC, which I don't hate the idea of that. The problem is, and this is why I'm bringing it back to what we're doing this week, is that the GM and the coach are probably getting fired. Peterson and Balky are probably getting fired from this job. So I don't think they're going to get rid of Christian Kirk, and I think that Peterson is going to have to try his hardest to make this team win a game, like just to prove to potential future employers that like he still can do this. So I think this is going to be Christian Kirk early and often against this Colts team. I like Etienne in this game. Brian Thomas is the future. The only reason I think they could get rid of Christian Kirk is that Brian Thomas is the future. But again, if you don't have jobs there, then what does it even matter if you trade him away for the draft pick that you're not going to get to make unless the owner forces it? But yeah, so I think it's a Kirk week. I think it's a Brian Thomas week. I even think if Evan Ingram comes back, Joe, I even kind of like Evan Ingram in this game. I think this would be a good game for him to get something going out there. I don't trust Trevor Lawrence, though, so I'm not going to say Trevor Lawrence is a start. But Etienne, Thomas Jr., Christian Kirk, and Evan Ingram, only because tight end is a hellhole, and you got buys included in that now. That's who I got for the Jaguars.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, the Colts are a very, very beatable defense. So this would be a good game to get him on track. I do like Ingram, to your point, with bringing him back. I like Ingram a lot. I don't know. They could trade for Kirk. I don't understand why they don't just trade Xavier Worthy to the Raiders for Davante Adams. Like, here's our shiny new toy. Give us the stud receiver.
That because he's not worth that much. They're not going to give up more than like a third for Davante Adams.
But it's the Raiders, Billy. They're going to be like, holy shit, Xavier Worthy, he's fast.
I get it, but I think they need him to be on the team too. They need at least two people that can catch the ball.
No, you have Juju and you have Davante Adams and you have Kelsey. You're glorious.
Juju. You're glorious. Glorious. I mean, you've got an old folks home, but yeah.
I mean, Kirk's expendable when you got Parker Washington just sitting there in the wings. You know, it's totally expendable.
I agree. If the GM was going to be there next year, then I would be he should do this so that he can get the capital together. But he's not going to have a job, so what does he care?
I don't know. That's a good point.
What do you have for the Colts?
I just had to Google if Anthony Richardson was playing or not. I assume he's not. He says it's day to day.
He might. Yeah. No, the owner came out and said that he's looking good in practice, which I'm just like, there's no way that's true.
Shit.
There's no way that's true.
Yeah, I mean, Jonathan Taylor's got the high ankle. Monitor his status. If you happen to pick up Sermon, and obviously if Taylor doesn't go, Sermon's a start. You're starting Taylor if he plays even with the high ankle sprain. I don't think he's a guy you can sit. You just expect, not great things, I would say. And then for the wide receivers, I mean, Pittman, Downs, everyone looked good with Joe Flacco there. So, I mean, we can just hope that Anthony Richardson takes another week off, unless you're Scott Fishbowl 101 type people that, got to start the quarterback there. So Richardson didn't practice. That's good news for the Colts this weekend. If Flacco starts, you're playing everybody. If Richardson starts, I mean, honestly, you're starting the running backs. I probably wouldn't even be starting Pittman with Richardson at this point, even though he had a good game last week.
That's fair. Yeah, the Flacco thing is not great. But that's always the tough thing about doing this on a Wednesday, Joe, is like have no clue what the injury report is because nobody practices on Wednesdays ever. Especially if you're hurt, you're never going to play him. But whatever, it is what it is.
Friday
Gardago's Playground
practice is
says
key.
AR didn't practice. JT and AR are probably out. I know. I mean, that's where we're at on Wednesday. You know, we're just making this stuff happen on a Wednesday. But yeah, no, I'm pretty sure Anthony Richardson was limited in practice today because that's what I read. That, but what I don't know. Who knows?
We love Flacco throwing interceptions for IDP purposes, but he can also throw to a receiver that's open, which is a beautiful thing.
After what Flacco did with the Browns, I'll believe anything. Like, that was the most insane thing I've ever seen. So whatever, it might happen. I do think the Jaguars win this week. I think this is the one week that they actually do win the game.
Yeah, we'll see if it's enough to save Peterson. I agree with you.
It's not. I think they're pretty much just trying to soften the blow. They're just like making something for their next job. Be like, you know what? See what I did here. See what I did here. See what I did here.
I mean, when you're blaming your players, you're screwed.
All right. The next one is the Dolphins versus the Patriots. This is absolutely disgusting of a game. Just gross. I'll let you take the Dolphins, Joe, because I'm sure there's a lot of players you want to play from that team right now.
Yeah. Just starting off, RIP to Jalen Phillips. I don't know how you come back after having a knee injury, right after an Achilles injury. I mean, we saw it. Guys are playing right now that had that happen, but I just feel really bad for him. Snoop Huntley, not the answer. I don't know what you do if you're the Dolphins when you have all this speed and a guy that absolutely cannot hit someone in stride. I mean, the dude overthrew Tyreek Hill last week, which is something I've never seen in my life. I mean, maybe Mahomes did it once, but I don't know how you can overthrow him. So if I'm playing it, I'm starting Hill. I don't think there's any way you can sit Hill at this point. It's not pretty. You just take what you get with him, unless you just have a bang-up player on the roster. But with bye weeks and injuries mounting up, I think you play Hill. Waddle's not touching my lineup anywhere. And, I mean, A-Chain, you start him. Is it good? I don't know. The Patriots have a decent defense at least. So, Billy, I don't know, man. Mostert might be back this week. It was close to playing last week. I think Mostert possibly could help this offense more because you would have an up-the-middle running game, which is something they don't really have. I know he likes to bounce it outside, but I don't know. I'm kind of feeling that if this offense is going to work, it's got to go through Jonnu Smith, especially in this game. So if you're in DK, Jonnu would be a good play.
That's a scary thought there. But yeah. So like broad picture here, is Mike McDaniels good? Like, I know that is his entire offense predicated on him having Tua. Like, I don't understand what is going on here.
Because I think anyone that can throw a ball, halfway decent. I mean, Skylar Thompson, no. And then Snoop, I mean, he was fine in Baltimore because that's kind of what Baltimore wanted to do, was, run around a little bit.
But why bring him in? Like, if you didn't think that he could actually run this offense correctly, like, didn't actually think he would be I didn't think he was going to be perfect, throw for 400 yards on.
I think they were just throwing shit against the wall, man. The problem with this offense is these guys are too fast. If you don't have an accurate arm, you're not going to hit them. It's just like,
that's true.
I think that's the problem in a nutshell. I mean, they really need to be trying to figure something out, making some calls. It's too late. I mean, if Tua is actually going to come back in a couple weeks, then, I mean, it's too late. You just have to
everything he said is that he's coming back. So, I mean, health be damned, he's coming back. But yeah, I'm nervous for this entire team. If it's predicated on one person, that is very scary to call yourself like an offensive guru and stuff. Like, I don't know, because the problem is you just saw what LaFleur did with Malik Willis.
Yeah.
And I mean, that looked really good. So it's tough to like say you see that, and then you see Mike McDaniel can't figure out how to use Tyreek freaking Hill. Like, it's just, I don't know, Joe. It's concerning to say the least. Not to mention the team is one of the worst constructed teams in the league. Like, it is a disaster for the Dolphins. I guess they should be just trying to get a draft pick at this point. I don't know what they're going to do to help. But maybe shop Tyreek. I don't know. I don't know
Trade him
who's
back
going to be
to
able
the
to pay
Chiefs.
why if the Chiefs wanted to pay, like, yeah, why
We got
not? But,
Tyreek Hill and Kareem Hunt back in the building.
yeah, for sure. All right. Well, on the Patriots side of the ball, might have a new starting running back, apparently. Antonio Gibson. It hasn't been confirmed, but the coach said that the fumbling problems that Ramondre's had, he's had a fumble in each of the first 4 games, has kind of led them to maybe thinking Antonio Gibson might be getting the nod. I still think it's like a 50-50 split, if anything. Like maybe Antonio Gibson starts out the game and then Ramondre comes in for 60% still, like even in that. But like, that just makes the one piece of this offense more confusing that you're like, I know who I'm playing this week. Like, this just makes it that much more confusing. I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to get Drake May involved. They haven't announced that, so it doesn't look like that's going to happen this week. Yeah, I would say no Patriots are good to use this week. Even the running backs, like I don't think either of them with a split workload, you're not getting enough points from either to make that like your RB2 on your team. Flex, if that's your flex play, then sure, you're good to go. But like if that's your starter, I mean, you're gonna have to be good with maybe you're getting 6.4 points, and just that's what you're gonna have to be happy with. Or if somebody falls in the touchdown, maybe you've got 9.8. You know, you're just gonna have to be happy with that, in my opinion. You know.
Yeah. I mean, there's not a lot in this game.
No, it's going to be a gross game. I'm glad they hit it in the 12 o'clock window. It's a good one on the schedule makers, because this will not be on any TV that I'm paying attention to. And I would take the under in this game as well. It's at 36 right now, which is probably the lowest of the weekend. And I would take it under that because how in the world are these teams going to score, much less, not that either defense is good, that good, but both the offenses suck. So, yeah, going to be a gross one. I think the Patriots win, sadly.
Yeah.
It's
you know what? No,
disgusting.
I'm going Miami. I still believe.
I hope you're right, to be fair, but woof. All right, on to the Browns versus the Commanders. One of these quarterbacks is one of the best players in the league, and the other is Deshaun Watson. Look, the Browns are not a good team right now. Amari Cooper is getting the targets, but between him dropping the ball and then getting these balls that are never going to be caught by anyone, he gets like 14 targets a game. He catches 4. You're just going to have to live with that. I think he's still usable and good to go. Deshaun Watson's only good for super flex at this point. And even that, you're probably hoping you have somebody else on your team. Like if you have like Gardner Minshew and him, you're probably just like, damn it, I'm screwed. This is over. But yeah, there's nobody on this team that you can really trust. I mean, Jerry Jeudy kind of popped last week, but I don't see that happening every week. Here we go again, Joe, but I don't really like any of the players on this team really like having good games.
No, I mean, I don't.
And this is a beatable defense too. So like theoretically, if there was a good quarterback and this was a good solid game plan, I'd be like Amari Cooper, fire. Like Jerry Jeudy, fire. Like good to go. We have a great option going here, but I just don't know with Watson, man.
I feel like everyone else that they've played this so far has been a fairly beatable defense too, and they just can't do it. How about Nick Chubb returning to practice, man? This is
the only hope they have, and I don't even know what hope that is. Hope that their defense or their team is just not bad. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things. There's going to be a ramp up period. Even when he starts to play, he's not going to get a lot of carries. But hey, at least it's something. If you drafted him and held him for this long, Godspeed. The running back situation right now is great for him to come back to. I don't think we really anticipated that to start the season. So fun. I'll talk about Washington now because it's way more fun.
Yes, please do. Please get us off this sour note.
All right. Washington. Myles Garrett didn't practice. I don't know if he's going to play or not. That's really good news for Jayden Daniels. He is absolutely incredible. He is your QB1 for the rest of the season, in my opinion. Absolutely unstoppable. It's just setting records left and right. the dude's insane. We have to watch the running backs because Brian Robinson did not practice. Austin Eckler with the concussion, you would assume he would be coming back this week. He had his rest here, so this might be an Eckler week. I mean, if someone dropped him somehow, wouldn't be the worst thing to pick up and start, or if he's sitting on your bench. If Brian Robinson does not play, I do like starting Eckler. Brown's defense is a little tough though, so watch out on that one. And then the wide receivers, Terry McLaurin. Whew, we're finally starting to see it from him. This is what we thought at the beginning of the year. He posts 2 duds to start. Now he's starting to get in groove with Jaden Daniels. I think we're only going to see this get better. So Terry McLaurin is in your lineup unless you have someone astronomically better than him, which at this point in the season, I don't know if you do. Zach Ertz is going to get you 6 catches for 30 yards. It's just what he does. But he looks pretty good. And I actually kind of like Luke McCaffrey in this game. He's playing that number 2. Him and Noah Brown are kind of splitting that work right there. So I think both of them are usable in a deep flex at this point. I like Noah Brown a lot if he does play. He was questionable a little bit, but if he misses, I think Luke McCaffrey is actually, especially in DraftKings or in if you're in a 16-team league, I think you can use Luke McCaffrey there.
Yeah, I agree completely. We actually talked about, again, before you got on, the Davante Adams situation, and this was my 3rd team for him to potentially go to is the Commanders. I think they could use a wide receiver, and I think Davante Adams would love to play with Jaden Daniels. I mean, come on, who would not want to play the best young player in the league, the team that's actually making a move? Obviously, the Saints and the Jets are probably the most favorable because that's where he wants to go, but Commanders could be fun, so I hope he keeps an open mind if they decide to try to trade for him. Commanders win this game, and I love this team. I don't know why I'm a Commanders fan all of a sudden, but I have Jaden Daniels everywhere, and I've just had fun every week with him.
Yeah, he's awesome to have on your team.
Yeah,
we told you all year, wait on quarterback, snag one of these guys. I mean, we saw Jared Goff catch a touchdown last week. Just good time.
It's true. I have this league where, you get to keep the player where you drafted him or whatever. Jaden Daniels is looking like he's going to be one of those guys for me because I drafted him in the 9th round.
Oh, and perfect.
I mean, yeah, he's not exactly a position player for that, but the number 1 potential QB going forward, I will take that in the 9th round every day of the week.
Yeah.
So if fun rules out, then Commanders win this game, but anything can happen. All right, on to the Bills versus the Texans. The Texans may be getting Joe Mixon back. He did not practice today, but then again, it's Wednesday. A lot of veterans don't practice on Wednesday, so that is a possibility that he could be getting back. CJ Stroud, this would be a beautiful game for us if these teams can actually go at it and it's not a blowout in one way or the other. I really would have loved that Bills-Ravens game if it had been competitive rather than just a complete stomping as it was. But if this game is competitive, if you have Mixon out there, you're going to keep rolling. If it's not, then it might be Dameon Pierce. He hasn't exactly been clear to play either yet. But CJ Stroud, I like him. Keep rolling him out there. Nico Collins, the number 2 wide receiver in the game right now. Keep rolling him out there. He is definitely proven that he is one of the best wide receivers in this league. If you can do this on this offense with the rest of the guys that are around him, and even kept Stephon Diggs from chirping that he's not, the number 1, more power to you. You're clearly the one on this team. So I think he's good. Tank Dell's still questionable, so probably even if he's cleared to play, maybe don't start him this week. And then you're going to have Stephon Diggs as well. Dalton Schultz, no thanks. You can put him back out to pasture. I've seen him dropped in multiple leagues. It's just the way of the tight end this year, Joe. Everybody decided they're not playing, so it is what it is when it comes to the tight end position.
It is what it is. You know who another bet I like? Stephon Diggs going over 110 yards is plus 950 on DK right now.
The revenge game.
Yeah, I think CJ is a bro, and he's going to be like, hey, I'm going to feed you the rock. Do your work with it. But I think on the other side, you're going to see Josh Allen try to do that with Keon Coleman. He's the shiny new toy, the Stephon Diggs replacement, if you will. So I think that Josh Allen's going to try to get him involved because we know there's bad blood between Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen. But we saw Khalil Shakir not practice today. We'll see where that ends up. But if he does miss, I love Keon Coleman this week. And I think it's going to be him and Kincaid. So fire those two guys up. Obviously, you're playing Josh Allen. And then James Cook, you're starting James Cook. I don't have to tell you that.
Yeah, a little bit of a dud last week, but it was just game script / the Ravens defense just came out.
Which, let me get on my soapbox about these duds for a second here.
Okay, here we go.
There are going to be times where people score very few points. I don't need to tell our listeners this, but if anyone from the general public happens to catch this, you're not dropping people. You're not rage dropping. You're not trading away for absolutely nothing. I had an offer in a league where a guy was trying to trade a second-round pick for Kyle Pitts, and this is a dynasty league. No, I'm not going to make that trade. But then after he got 0 points, he dropped it to a third-round pick. And I asked him, and he was like, well, yeah, I got 0 points last week. Like, dude, just this is going to happen. It pisses me off. It just every year it fucking infuriates me, Bill.
I mean, I get it. I wasn't saying to sit anybody. He just had a dud last week. And
No. I know you weren't saying that. You said dud, and it triggered something in my brain. I've been doing a lot of driving and thinking, and it just pisses me off.
That's fair. Yeah, no, it's just the way that game went last week. It just happens to the best of us. I think it's gonna be a fun game. I think the Texans win though.
Yeah, I got Texans too.
Okay, wow. Good for
you.
I'm happy to hear that. This would be a nice statement win for the Texans, too. They really needed after how weird they've looked through this season and getting beat by Minnesota, which doesn't look as bad now. But at the time, it was like, what the hell is happening? Yeah. All right. On to the last 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock start, depending on your time zone. That is the Panthers versus the Bears. Joe, I don't know if this is a revenge game or not. I don't know what to call this, really. But what do you think about this one?
I mean, do we lose this game so we can get a higher second-round pick?
It's kind of a win-win in that way.
It's kind of a win-win, yeah. No, I mean, the Bears' offense look better every week since I guess the second week was pretty bad, and the third week. But the last 2 weeks, he's looked pretty good. So Caleb's getting better. We saw DeAndre Swift get involved. Guys, I don't know what to tell you about DeAndre Swift. It looked awesome. I guess if you haven't found a replacement for him at this point, you can start him. I'm still not 100% sold that that was the breakout. I think it was just a great matchup for him, and he took advantage of it. So I'm still very worried about the running back situation. But you can start Swift. DJ Moore, I like DJ Moore to get on track, especially against the Panthers. I mean, I don't know who Horn's going to cover, but I feel like they have to do something to get DJ Moore involved. I don't understand how you make more money and you're more pissed off. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. So I get the Fields was his guy, but, we got to get the connection going there. Keenan Allen was basically a non-factor, and then, Rome Odunze. I think each week we're just going to have a different leader in the stables at this point. So I like DJ Moore this week. And then Kmet, with the way tight ends are, you'd probably have to start him if you got him, but he's going to give you 20 or he's going to give you 5. That's kind of the outcome you're going to get.
Yeah, he did pop up on the injury report today too for some reason. But again, it's Wednesday. That shit just happens with injuries sometimes. So something to monitor. I agree with you. It would be fun if it was the DJ Moore revenge game, but with Shane Waldron, I don't think anybody is getting to pop off in any way, shape, or form unless you're the running back. And that's the only way you get to pop off in this offense because none of these.
I mean, do you trust Swift?
No, I don't.
No. I would just want your opinion on that because I saw it. It was awesome, and then I'm just like, do I trust it? No.
It's just we've never seen that from Swift, and then now to believe that it's going to happen 2 times in a row, it's like I don't know. I just can't do it until we see it. But who knows? Maybe we might see it. But on to the Panthers. I think it's an Andy Dalton revenge game. He played for the Bears, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Andy Dalton's coming back. No, I'm just kidding. Andy Dalton's played for like 15 teams, so it's a revenge game every week for him. I do think Deontay Johnson's actually good to use. I've liked a lot of what I've seen from him these past couple of weeks now. I know they didn't win last week, but it was still nice to see. Chuba Hubbard finally is unlocked. He literally just needed a quarterback, Joe. He just needed a quarterback that could take the pressure off. And then Chuba Hubbard has gone back to doing Chuba Hubbard things. And I guess we're not going away from it until Jonathan Brooks comes back, which can't come soon enough. The other player that I think we got to admit is going to get involved here is Xavier Legette. Like he had two rushes even, Joe. It's kind of crazy. Had 10 targets, which is wild from Andy Dalton. He's completely usable in all formats for me as a flex spot. Wide receiver is kind of thinning out a little bit. I'm sure he was a popular waiver wire pickup this week, but I think you're good to go using him. I know the Bears are a tough defense to play with, but I think the role that he plays is the one I would actually want on this team. I mean, is this a potential pick situation? Because whoever's covering him is like, was it going to be like Tyreek, maybe Stevenson? Like maybe he gets picked, but
on Deontay?
No, on Legette.
I would expect Jalen Johnson to cover Legette. It's kind of what they play, and I would
even more proof that I think you'll be all right.
Yeah,
and I think you'll be all right if you just play Legette. I think you're going to be good this week. So Johnson, Chuba Hubbard. I think I don't really love Andy Dalton. This Bears defense, the one thing that they're good at is dragging teams into the mud on defense, and so I don't like quarterback in that. But Legette, Johnson, Chuba Hubbard, good to go.
Are we starting Trevin Wallace? And tell me yes.
Sure.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, sounds
Poor
good.
Shaq Thompson. He was finally in his 10th year breakout.
Yeah, it was going to happen, but it didn't. Bears win, Joe. I'm for the Bears.
Yeah, I'm going with my Bears.
Fair enough.
I always stick with the Bears.
On to the late window. We have the Raiders versus the Broncos. I'm just going to keep this one pretty brief on the Broncos side. There is not a soul on this team I'm starting with confidence. The quarterback can only throw for minimum 140 yards, or no, minimum 60 yards, clearly, but like maximum 160 yards. You don't know who those are going to go to. They may be players you've never even heard of before are going to be catching balls on this team. And then maybe Courtland Sutton has a decent game. But other than that, nothing on this team I'm good with. We're just fighting for the future at this point, Joe.
No, you're absolutely right. I would say my one piece of advice is try to trade for or pick up Audric Estime. I don't know where he's at in his injury recovery, but if he does come back this year, I would expect them to really use him towards the end of the season just to see what they have in him. So it would be a good playoff stash.
Yeah, you could be right about that. All right. Well, do you have anything for the Raiders?
Raiders. Brock Bowers, you start him with the way tight end is. Jacoby Myers, Devontae is out again. Or it's looking like it. I don't know if they officially ruled him out, but
they have. They've ruled him out.
Yeah, the way Jacoby Myers plays, I think Surtain might struggle a little bit more with the way that he plays out there. But I'm very leery to start Jacoby Myers. And then, I love Trey Tucker. So start Trey Tucker. And Zamir White is not practiced. So I guess, Alexander Madison, as much as I hate to say it, is usable at this point as a flex. I don't like it. I would not be going out of my way to do it, but you could use it.
Yeah, it's kind of disgusting. I actually started Trey Tucker over Garrett Wilson in a league last week.
Did you?
I'm dead.
Hey, it worked out.
It paid off. No, I actually won that game. I mean, it wasn't because of him. It was a blowout win, but I did win that game, and Trey Tucker did score more points than Garrett Wilson. So had it been close, it would have mattered.
Yeah. Trey Tucker's better than Garrett Wilson. You heard it here first.
I mean, just so I can be transparent, thanks God Josh isn't on here, so we don't have to hear about the Garrett Wilson shit for 5 minutes now.
The man likes a good victory lap. I'll give him that.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, by the way, I don't even care who wins this game. It's probably going to be the Broncos just because of their defense, but I literally could care less about this game. There's just
it sucks.
this is what I'm starting to hate about the NFL, Joe. And like, I know that we only get so many of these games every year, so like I'm not trying to be that guy that's ungrateful, but like, man, there are some bad teams that I just don't really want to watch that much. And I just like Broncos Raiders, that can go to hell every week this year. Like I just so gross.
Yeah, I always say give it 4 weeks at the start of the season because it's always sloppy at the beginning of the season. But these are two teams that I don't think just played sloppy football. They're just trash.
Yeah, no.
Sorry,
the Dolphins without Tua, the Patriots, the Browns, the Panthers before Andy Dalton, the Raiders, the Broncos, like all these teams, I just don't have no want to watch them on any part of their team. But whatever, I guess I shouldn't be saying that on a fantasy football podcast, but just get better. Just get better as a team. I don't like how hard is that? Anyway, on to the next game on the slate. It's the Cardinals versus the 49ers. We got a lot of division matchups this week, so maybe the games are going to be a little tighter.
No. You want to talk about a team I'm worried about? Cardinals.
Yeah, I'm pretty worried about them too, Joe. The vibes are not great, but at the same time, I don't really know what more you want. Like the defense isn't very good, and the offense is having a little trouble, as it turns out. Against the Lions, I thought they looked pretty good. Like just against the Lions. The Commanders might be one of the best teams in football, so maybe this is a result that we should just sweep under the rug because like they're not on that level yet. But shouldn't they be closer to that? Like we kind of thought this was going to be a shootout last week, and it was kind of over pretty quickly. It felt like. And,
I mean, they scored the touchdown. Right, they just marched on the Commanders right down the field, and then you can't tell me that Trey McBride plays that big of a role in the offense. He's just irreplaceable. I mean, it's worrisome, man. I don't.
Well, and if you want to get to the worry, like Kyler wasn't even that bad. 16 for 22. That's not bad. I mean, that's not great. We know what he's going to win an award because of that, but that's not exactly like a terrible stat line to have. I think the more concerning part is there's only 22 passes. Like they ran the ball 32 times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're playing that slow roll game
that they're down, and they're in a game that they're down that much.
Makes absolutely no sense.
I was under the impression if you draft Marvin Harrison Jr., like if you draft Malik Neighbors, the plan is to target him 10, 11, 12 times a game, and they don't do that. There was only 6 targets in this last game. He caught 5 of them. Can't blame him. That was kind of exactly what they wanted to do. Michael Wilson got 7 targets, only caught 3. That ain't great. And then Greg Dortch 4 for 4, but like I don't trust anybody on this offense other than Marvin Harrison Jr. and James Conner. So, I mean, to be honest, those are the two that I'm going to give out as plays is James Conner and Marvin Harrison Jr. If you have Michael Wilson, you picked him up thinking he was going to be something on this offense. No, you're not going to trust him week to week. Dortch isn't involved in that,
though, right?
Okay, yeah. If he's playing, okay, my bad. I'm just going off of like what happened last week. But like, if Trey McBride is there, you got to play him as well. But like, I don't trust Kyler to play right now. Unless he rushes for a touchdown, you're not good enough. And then the offense is so poorly put out there, like they can't develop anything going into the games. Like this reminds me of what Baker was like 5 years ago when he was with the Browns. And the plays always were like to get 9 yards. They were never to get first downs. They were only to get 9 yards. And that feels like what we're watching here with Kyler now is that they've got a whole playbook full of plays to get 9 yards, but they don't have enough to get the first down every time. And so they're having to get off the field. And that's not going to work.
Yeah. So many 3-and-outs. It's ridiculous. But I don't know. I'm starting Fields over Kyler this week. I'm doing it.
I can't blame you.
I mean, the matchup isn't the best, but I got to do it.
Yeah. I gotcha. What about the 49ers, Joe?
The 49ers. Love Debo. I think Debo is finally going to get a little bit healthier and give it a go. But we're back to playing this, who's it going to be situation here. So you're starting Jordan Mason. He's got a great matchup, obviously. And then between Ayuk, Kittle, Debo, Juwan Jennings, I mean, who's it going to be? I don't really know. I would say start all of them except for Ayuk and Jennings. Those would be the two guys. But I mean, like I said last week, one of these games they have to get Brandon Ayuk going. They just paid him a ton of money. I don't care how pissed off he is. Just make him go play. It's a wild and crazy time in San Francisco. They just have too many weapons. But I love Debo. Debo would be my play of the week. Him and Mason, and then definitely starting Kittle, and then Ayuk flex maybe until we see otherwise.
I'm getting kind of sick of the Ayuk thing, but I just know the time that I sit him on the bench, then that's going to be the time that he pops off, and I have him on the bench. But eventually that's going to lose you your fantasy football season if you keep chasing shit like that. So I don't know. I can see both sides of the argument there.
I'm real pissy about it because I got Devontae Adams and Brandon Ayuk in the Kings Classic, and I'm just like, all right, this is dumb.
Yeah, I can
trade them both.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they probably looking back probably would have rather had done that. Had they known like Juwan Jennings was going to be as good as he was this season, it probably would have been like, okay, yeah, you can just go. Like we'll be fine. We'll figure it out.
I mean, I don't know what team would take on that contract, but I mean, call it a sign and trade and just get him the fuck out of here.
That's true. Yeah, I know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know who would do it. That's the problem. 49ers win the game, though.
Yeah.
All right. On to the Rams versus the Packers. The Rams, I would say it's getting easier because they keep dropping them like flies, but a lot of people pick people up off their waivers. So, I mean, we got to be real with it. So Kyron's good to go. Don't start Matt Stafford. I don't love that he's going to throw touchdowns because I think they get it down to the end zone and then have Kyron just kick it in. Tutu Atwell, I think, is a pretty safe play. I've liked what I've seen from him. He always seems to be the guy that gets the chunk yardage, and it's a lot of yardage that it feels like garbage time yards almost, even though it's not. But he's always good for like, a 20, 25-yard play, it feels like, once a game. The most targets on this team are going to Jordan Whittington and Colby Parkinson. Now, what you're getting from Whittington is like a poor man's version of both Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. It's not going to be yards and touchdowns, but it is going to be, catches. So you're pretty safe there. I would say if he's going to get 8 or 9 targets, he's going to catch 6 of them at least each week. And so you'd be good to go there yardage wise. If you're playing PPR, he's good to go. And then Colby Parkinson, again, tight end has been a whole ass hellhole. So you're probably good to start him, even though the targets are a little sporadic. And I think you're going to need a touchdown for him to return the value. But, if you're starting him or Mark Andrews, I think I'd rather trust him. So, that's just all I'm saying there. At least one's getting targeted.
Yeah. No, you're cool. I'm starting Kyron and no one else. But that's just
okay.
I don't have to make that decision.
See, the thing is, Joe, though, a lot of people made plays on their waiver wires. Because in the leagues I'm in, a lot of people spent fab and their higher waiver wire picks for Whittington and Tutu Atwell and Parkinson. So, I know that they're thinking about starting them because maybe they're injuries or bye weeks or something. So, I'm just trying to give the plethora of options here.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, you made the right calls. This offense is something I want no part of, and especially against the Packers. That defense is, I mean, I know Sam Darnold looked good, which is wild to even say that sentence, but I don't know.
All right. What about the Pack, Joe?
Packers, start Jordan Love. Start everybody.
Okay.
Start Josh Jacobs. Start Dontavian Wicks. The splits he has when Christian Watson out is wild. So Travian Wicks is very usable. Again, I trust him more as a flex than your actual starting wide receiver, but he's a high upside flex. You're going to go with Jaden Reed, and then Tucker Kraft had an excellent game, and Muskrat is out, it looking like. So I say Tucker Kraft is very usable in the pair and tight end landscape as well. So start everyone.
Good to see. Rougarou puts in the chat, would you rather start Tucker Kraft mac and cheese or Freiermuth?
No. Good call. I like Kraft this week. I think this game is going to be higher. I don't know. I think the Pittsburgh game is going to be kind of slow and silly with Dallas here. So I like Tucker Kraft.
I actually agree with that as well. I think Tucker Kraft this is gonna be a good week for him. And I just think, if you're gonna try to get the Rams, I think a tight end versus the Rams is a good decision to make. All right, last one in the late window. I think this is the America's game of the week. It might have been the Packers-Rams game, actually, but could be this one. Giants Seahawks. Joe, do you think Malik Neighbors is alive?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think he's going to play, and I think he's going to get a ton of targets. Now, is Drew Lock officially starting for this team?
I don't know. I did not see that, if he is.
No. So, I don't know who's playing quarterback for you. Again, I'm jumping around Iowa here and ping-ponging. I haven't really looked at a lot of this stuff. But you're starting Malik Neighbors no matter what, and you're starting Devin Singletary no matter what. I like both of them a lot. And I know Seattle's defense is kind of tough, but we finally saw him play a good offense last week, and we saw what happened. So I'm not saying the Giants are a good offense, but I think they are friendly enough for you to fire up Singletary. Wan'Dale Robinson's getting, I don't know, is he on pace for like 140 targets at this point? It's pretty ridiculous. So you're starting Wan'Dale. I'd be a little bit more nervous if Locke is the starter there, but until further notice, those are your three guys.
That's true. Wan'Dale did also pop up on the injury report, so just something to be aware of, everyone out there. I feel like everybody's on the injury report, Joe. Hell, I'm on the injury report. You're probably on the injury report. Everybody's there. Daniel
my toe
Jones
real bad this morning.
is starting this week, so no problems there.
Cool.
On to the Seahawks. Look, Geno Smith looks amazing. I have loved everything about Geno Smith this season. He almost had a 400-yard game against the Lions this past weekend. But Geno, good to go. Kenneth Walker, good to go. Zach Charbonnet, good to go. Flex spot. I actually like Charbonnet. He's getting some good pass catching in there, and I like that quite a bit. I think that Ken Walker could probably do it too, but I actually like the idea of splitting them up. It's fine by me. Tyler Lockett, good to go. Jackson Smith and Jigba, good to go. I'm not sold on the tight ends yet. I know that A.J. Barner had a touchdown this past game. The targets weren't really there to prove to me that that's for sure his job going forward. But I think by the end of the season, it's probably A.J. Barner and not Noah Fant. But I don't know. I need to see a little bit more of it first. But I think this is a 6-starter team here, maybe 7 starters, Joe. The Seahawks – getting rid of Shane Waldron has done them wonders, Joe. I'm just going to say that out loud, not for any reason in particular.
No, I appreciate you saying it, and I'm glad to see the Seahawks are no longer burdened by Shane Waldron because that's pretty cool. Did you see Kenneth Walker just perform Magic Man shit on Anzalone? Did you see that?
I don't know if
I'm going to send you a video after this, but Anzalone tackles him, and he rolls over him and lands on his feet. And then Anzalone repositions to tackle him another way, and he does a front flip over Anzalone and then runs for I don't know if it was a touchdown or what, but it was insane. Coolest thing I think I've ever seen. So
I feel like I remember seeing that play, but yeah. Seahawks win the game, though. Yeah, I think that's true. All right, on to the Sunday night game, Cowboys-Steelers. This is going to be a muck fest if there ever was one. Look, if you're a Cowboys believer, I don't know what to tell you. It looks like Zeke Elliott has completely lost the job at this point, so this is a Rico Dowdle team. But against the Steelers, that's not exactly something you want to be bragging about. I think it's just Ferguson and Lamb, Joe, and that's it. I mean, that's for me. I mean, no Cooks this week for them, so I don't really want to start any of the Tolbert other people nonsense. But yeah, that's probably it for me. Lamb, Ferguson, no Dak, no Dowdle.
Yeah. No, I'm totally with you. I'm not in a hurry to get Dowdle in my lineup, but I mean, I think he could be usable with the injuries and the bye weeks and stuff. But that's a very tough matchup. So I think you're right.
Yeah. Justin Fields Day.
It's always Justin Fields' day. Start Justin Fields until further notice. Russell is healthy, and they're still going with Justin. So I think this is his team, and it should give him a lot of confidence, especially with the way he's been playing. Pickens he's due for a monster game here. I think one of these days it's going to happen. I know I keep saying that about a lot of these receivers, but you're starting Pickens. I'd say he's kind of like a high-end wide receiver 3 at this point. So I'm not putting him over more established guys, but I am very excited to see what this offense could become. Najee, I mean, he got you 7 points last week, 8 points. It was not pretty at all. And it really hurt to watch because he didn't get that last 4 points until right at the end of the game. So very nervous to watch that. Jaylen Warren, I don't know. He did not practice. So
I mean, he's questionable. Yeah, it's another week of that.
So he didn't practice. Cordero got hurt last week and didn't practice. So I think you can start Najee again. Don't expect big points from it. And then Freiermuth is officially helping us, giving us some of that help we were looking for at tight end. He's kind of been getting it done throughout the year. So I think you start Freiermuth too, because I doubt you have any better options.
Yeah, no kidding. Unless you have Tucker Kraft, which maybe that was the way to go. But yeah, no, I agree completely. And I think the Steelers are going to win this game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fairly handily too.
Yeah, sadly. Root says he needs 4 sacks from TJ Watt. Who doesn't? I think this would be a perfect spot for him to get off on Dak completely. All right. One last game. Monday Night Football. Saints versus the Chiefs. Ruse Saints versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Joe, who on this Chiefs offense are we going to be trusting to play football this week?
Oh, God. Kelsey is going to be back to the Kelsey we know and love. He's going to be playoff Kelsey. Yeah. Yeah, he's been, they kind of just didn't use him, and then all of a sudden the playoffs, they were all about it. So, yeah, I like Kelsey. Justin Watson, I know a lot of people are picking him up. I don't trust it at all. And then Xavier Worthy, I don't trust it. I mean, there's a chance he gets a big play, but I'm not in a hurry to get him in my lineup at all. So I don't know. I think you're starting Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt looks like old Kareem Hunt. I mean,
you're gonna have to. They
beat there.
Poor everyone that spent money on Carson Steele. They benched his ass after one fumble. He's gone on a team that's already depleted.
I mean, last week we saw Hunt get him all the way down there, and then Samaje came in the red zone. So I don't know what you want to do with that, but I'm liking what I see out of Kareem Hunt. So more power to it. But I love Kelsey. I'm starting Kelsey everywhere.
No, I just feel bad because I just saw how much fab people spent on Carson Steele, and just now he's not going to play very many snaps, if any, and that's just very tough. Tough to see.
Yeah, if I need to see another article that said, one way to win your league is to spend all your fab on Carson Steele.
Yeah, well, now all of that. Now all that fab's gone, and you have a bench player that you don't want to cut because you spent all the fab, but you can't use him because he's not starting anymore. So yeah, you're stuck with that nightmare on your bench. So yeah, it is what it is. All right, on to the Saints. I think this would be a good spot for Derek Carr to get back. I would love for him to throw a touchdown, throw one touchdown, throw a touchdown. Just going to say it as many times as we need to hear it, Joe, but we need him to throw a touchdown. I think Olave and Rashid both getting a lot of targets these past couple weeks. Alvin Kamara's getting his normal dump-off passes as well. So Kamara's good, Carr's good, Olave's good, Rashid's good, and then if Taysom Hill is healthy, I think you have to start him just because he's good for one of these nightmare touchdown vulture situations every week, starting to frustrate me. He got hurt last week, and they still threw him back out there to vulture one more touchdown. And if you have him as a tight end, like I don't know how you can't have him out there, because if he's a possibility of 2 rushing touchdowns, you got to have that on your team at all times. But yeah, so I think that's it, because there's not really anybody else on this team that's doing anything else. That's really the only offensive players on this team.
Yeah.
Sadly.
And I don't know. I think the plan was because Kamara is playing with broken ribs, which, God, he's such a man. But I think the plan was last week to just rest him and let Taysom kind of take the beating. And then Taysom hurt his ribs, and then you saw Kamara come right back out there. So if Kamara is going to play and Taysom's okay, I mean, I would be a little bit more worried about starting Taysom Hill. But, I mean, we know what he can do. So if they're actually going to use him in that way, that's awesome. But, you know, it's kind of a little bit of roulette for me playing Taysom Hill these days.
A little bit. I actually think this. Yeah, I'm with Rue. I think Saints win this one, Joe. I think the Bucks.
I'm gonna go Chiefs, but I'm cheering for the Saints. I'm so tired of the Chiefs.
I hope that you're jinxing, like, you know, reverse jinxing them, because we do not need another Chiefs win this season. By the way, and I hate this, Mahomes is just a check down quarterback now. Like, he's not, like, we keep thinking like they need to go get this receiver. He need to go get this receiver. We need to go get. Wouldn't matter if they were on the team or not, Joe. He's not going to throw the ball downfield. He doesn't do it anymore. He is very calculated. Throw the ball as short to the line as possible and let your receivers do the work. And he's not going to throw the ball down the field anymore, because that's where all of his turnovers come from. And so we're going to completely cut that out of the game. And now he's just going to check down the whole entire game. And I think that it is gross. It's a gross way to watch the game.
Yeah, and it happened last year too. But I think the Chiefs are now just the New England Patriots, and we saw this with the Patriots year after year. They just kind of dink and dunk their way through the regular season and then turn it on in the playoffs. And I think that's just what the Chiefs are now, and we need to get used to it.
Well, it's killing fantasy football, so thank you, Chiefs. Appreciate all of your contributions to the game. I mean, they made Rashee Rice famous, so that's good enough. But as for the rest of these guys, like, ain't going to matter. By the way, and then just to put the cherry on top for Patrick Mahomes, after dinking and dunking and not doing anything for fantasy, he also just completely annihilates Rashee Rice's leg so bad, Joe, they won't even come out and say that it's torn. You know what that means, Joe? It's either not torn, which why wouldn't you just come out and say that? Or it's so bad that they don't even know. They don't even know what to do. Like that, those are the two options. It's either because they would have just come out and said it was torn if it was torn, but they haven't come out and said anything yet. And that either means that it's not torn or it's just completely fucked. And that he's going to be out for way longer because whatever they did to his leg, whatever Mahomes did to his leg, is going to like a brutal injury. Like, I just don't even know what to make of it for poor Rashee Rice. In Dynasty, I want nothing to do with Rashee Rice. I'm dumping all stock. This is bad to me. Yeah. I would rather do it now before the news comes out, by the way.
No, for sure. I like the conspiracy theory that he's not actually hurt and they're just doing this to avoid a suspension so they can have him for the playoffs. I think that's my favorite conspiracy theory.
I guess that's true, but like they haven't ruled him out for this week, which why? How? Huh? Doesn't what? Like everybody was like crying after that happened, and they were like, I don't think we're gonna see him for a while. And it's like, do you mean like a couple of hours, or do you just mean like till the end of the season? You mean like in 2027? Like what does that mean by that? And I don't know. I guess we're gonna find out. But I am very concerned that they haven't come out and said what the injury is yet. That's never happened before, where we went in for the MRI, we came out and we just were like, I don't know what to make of it.
Yeah, hopefully it's not a Zach Miller situation.
Yeah, hopefully not.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's all we got for this week. It was an hour and 20 anyway, Joe. We had like 3 less games. That is just not what we need to do. But we got more bye weeks next week, so we'll try again then. All right, Joe from Iowa, I guess. Say goodnight.
Good night from Des Moines, Iowa.